Hello, Max here, and today I wanted to talk a little about hero swapping. We've got to the point now of Overwatch where I think most people understand they are not locked to one hero for the whole game, and not only can, but sometimes should switch. I know there are those guys out there who keep auto-locking Genji every round. The enemy have 3 Winstons, don't care, Genji. The enemy are grouping tightly as a team protected by a McCree, don't care, Genji. Mate, you are about as useful as a chocolate teapot. I'm not here to make a video for those guys, because I'm sure by now they know how the game works. They just have delusions of challenging Seagull one day despite not seeing a single Genji final blow in the kill feed. I'm here to talk about the opposite problem. I've started to notice players change hero far too often. This usually happens when the attacking side gets stuck and cannot progress the map. It probably happens when defending too, but it's hard to notice because the attacking team are snowballing and that game is over faster than my night with Scarlett Johansson. I haven't actually had a real night with Scarlett, but even in my fantasy everything is over disappointingly quickly. Assault or 2-point capture maps are the worst for it. The biggest offender is Temple of Anubis. In pickup games it can seem impossible to take Objective B unless you snowball the win off Objective A. It feels like bashing your head against a brick wall, and I see a lot of players go through the entire hero roster trying to find a solution to the problem. Don't do this. Auto-locking only Genji is more useful than you, which makes you less useful than a chocolate teapot. Even if the Genji is doing next to nothing, the entire time he's bouncing around, his ultimate bar is ticking up. He will eventually get a Dragon Blade, and if he accidentally uses it while your team has a semi-coordinated push, you might just win the game. Every time you swap hero, you lose all the ultimate charge you have accumulated. Hero swapping needs to be an informed decision where the loss of your ultimate is taken into consideration. Look at what's happening in the game and try to identify what's going wrong and how to fix it. It could be you're playing Genji and they have a heavy turret-based defense from Torbjorn and Symmetra, in which case you do need to change, regardless of ultimate charge, because your chances of getting off a good Dragon Blade on Anubis Objective B with turrets everywhere are slim. Pick up Pharah, Soldier 76 or Winston instead and stick with them until you build an ultimate. However, 9 times out of 10, especially in pickup games, the problem is lack of team coordination. Objective B on 2-point capture maps set up the defending team to naturally group together. When the disorganized mess of attackers dribble through the chokes in 1s and 2s, it's not hard for the mass defense to pick them off. If this is how the team is playing, it doesn't matter which hero you play, nothing is going to work, and if you keep changing heroes, you have no chance of firing off that big ultimate that changes the tide of battle. If you're not sure who to play, Lucio is a great pickup. Most people understand that his ultimate is a recognizable go tool. Grab that DJ, pump up some heals and speed boost and support your allies until you have that sound barrier. Then communicate with your team, tell them your ult is ready and you'd like to group up. Speed boost everyone onto the point and use that sound barrier. Doesn't matter if you already have a support, if it's a Mercy then that's just gravy. If a few of you die in the fight, she's going to bring them all back. Maybe you don't want to play Lucio or the team already has one and it's not working. Winston is another strong point pusher. Of course, this isn't always going to work. Sometimes everyone on your team is just having a bad game. Maybe they're on tilt because they've just had 3 games in a row with 2 Hanzos that were about as accurate as a 3-year-old after 7 pints of Guinness. Sometimes you and your team will do everything right and you will still lose. The enemy were just better at landing their damage and prioritize the right targets. These are the losses you can't do anything about. Chalk them up to bad luck and get on with your life. If you're consistently making the good decisions and trying to work with your team, you will start to win more games you would likely have lost and your matchmaking rating will go up. Believe it or not, you will eventually start to play more games with players who actually want to group up and work together, and the golden age of Overwatch can begin. The problem isn't isolated to pickup games. I see my own friends do the same thing when we play together as a full 6-man team. Typically, we'll start strong with a good solid group play, communication, working together and target calling. The enemy are crushed and we feel all big boy and girl about ourselves. That of course doesn't last forever. A few of us will die and that will snowball into everyone dying and respawning at different times. All of a sudden the coordination and communication is gone. Everyone is running around playing Call of Duty Overwatch, which of course doesn't work against the organized enemy. We start to struggle and the hero switching starts. The heroes were not the problem. We've just dropped a whole load of ult charge when all we had to do was slow down a little bit, collect our team outside the spawn and move towards the enemy together. As already mentioned, the problem could also be when not landing our damage and prioritizing the correct targets. If you're running some of the harder heroes like Hanzo or Genji, maybe consider swapping to something easier to play. Winston often does a lot of the same things Genji does with backline harassment, and Hanzo can be replaced by any medium-range damage dealer. McCree or Soldier 76 are both more reliable. Of course, Widowmaker too, but if you're using Hanzo at long range, you are a crazy person. However, keep in mind that your selection could be great. You're just not focusing down the enemy supports, and their Mercy is healing through all your important damage. I'm not saying don't hero swap at all. A lot of the time it can be the key to success, but before you open that hero select, think about all the factors and try to make an informed decision. Don't just hero swap because you're not winning. There's so much more going on than just rock, paper, scissors. Thanks for watching. If you found this useful, please hit that like button, it really helps me out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this subject, so please let me know how you feel in the comments. Take it easy, and I'll see you soon.